Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your interest in fantasy football. And thank you so much for watching this video. What we're going to learn today are just the basics and why I believe you should play. I call this Fantasy Football 101. We're also going to touch on these comments that are on the screen that I've heard before when I try to teach people how to play. These are some misconceptions that I'm going to try to disprove. But before we begin, I want to tell you who I am, introduce myself, and explain why I want to teach you how to play this game. I have been playing fantasy football for over a decade. I did not know what I was doing at first. I really struggled before I truly learned how to play and succeed. Now, I play in multiple leagues, win championships pretty much every year, while making the playoffs consistently. Almost every league I'm in, I'm always making the playoffs. I'm constantly learning more and more about this game. I love playing, I love competing. I am always studying, researching, and gathering more information as much as I can. I am also always helping teach people how to play and how to play better. And now I want to teach you. I'm very excited about teaching you guys. I want to get started immediately. So without further ado, let's get to it. What is fantasy football? It's a competitive game where players score points for your team based off of real games. Points are scored according to the rules that the league manager will set before the season begins. There are numerous settings and scoring formats you can choose from. We'll get into that, but that is how points are scored. It's going to be set before the draft and before your season starts. Each team owner drafts players in a live fantasy draft before the season begins based off some of those preset structures that I touched on. Each team chooses a starting lineup for their team each week, while the rest of their team rides the bench until needed. You're going to have a total of normally about 16 players, and about 9 of those are going to start while the rest ride the bench. During each week of the NFL season, team owners go head to head against each other's teams with the starting lineups highest points overall winning the matchup for you. So, for example, if your starting lineup of 9 players on average scores 110 points, but your bench only scores maybe 60, and the guy you're going against, maybe your friend Jim, his team scored 100 points, but his bench scored 80. The bench points don't matter. Starting lineups are how you win. Teams with the most wins make the playoffs with the goal to win the championship. Fantasy playoffs start at the end of the regular season. That is dependent on the league settings, normally around week 14 of the NFL season. And then, of course, the ultimate goal, try to win yourself a championship. Why play fantasy football? Well, it gives you more reason to watch more football games during the NFL season, not just your favorite team. If any of y'all are like me, my favorite team doesn't play on my local stations, so I don't get to watch them as much. But with fantasy football, I still enjoy every game. And that's because you can enjoy more football games because you're not watching just the teams, you're also watching the players on your fantasy team. You're going to have players on multiple teams, not only your particular favorite football team. So it's going to be more enjoyable during the NFL season to watch those games. It is a fun, competitive, and free game you can play to add some spice to the NFL season for those fans who are wanting a little bit more than just watching NFL games. There are some paid leagues out there. Be cautious of those when you're starting. Could be a little more difficult because those are the people that really know how to play, and you don't need to just waste your money on those. But once you get good, you can definitely get into that. It is a 6 month long online game you can enjoy with family, friends, or anyone because it's online. You don't have to be in the same town or the same area. It's all done online so you can enjoy it worldwide. How to play fantasy football. You only need basic knowledge of the game. You don't need to be an expert. If you understand the positions and the teams, that's really all you need to know. It does help if you have more knowledge, but that is not required. You need a website and you need an app to use. Popular examples are ESPN, NFL.com, and Yahoo, but there's plenty other options out there. You only need one, and it's not that difficult. They're very intuitive. Leagues range from 6 to 20 teams, so you only need just 5 other people to play. If you have 5 other friends plus yourself that are interested, you can get started. You will need to appoint someone as a league manager, and that person will need to decide a format and scoring rules. For example, PPR, which is points per reception. That's where every receiver, every tight end, every running back who catches a pass gets 1 extra point every time they catch that pass. There's also non PPR, which means catches do not matter. It's only yards and touchdowns. So your league manager will decide which one is best for your particular league. Fantasy is a weekly game, so there will be a few things to do during the week, but it does not require a lot of time. Honestly, on average, you probably would only need to put in about 1 to 3 hours looking into every weekday where there's a game going on, set your lineups beforehand, and then there's waivers you will need to do on Tuesdays. But other than that, that's all you would need. That's the minimum. If you put more time into it, you probably will have more success, but you don't need a lot of time. When to play fantasy football? The year of fantasy starts right before the real football season starts with the fantasy draft. And drafts normally should be scheduled about 1 to 2 weeks before the season starts so you can avoid those preseason injuries. You don't want to be that league that has your draft in the middle of July before training camp ends, before preseason starts, and teams start to ramp up their practices and their physicality, and then your running back or your receiver you drafted gets hurt. So wait till the closest time to the start of the season to have the best chance to avoid that. The season lasts for most or all of the regular season, with the fantasy playoffs starting on average 3 to 4 weeks before the end of the real NFL football season. So, for example, the regular season of fantasy on average is probably between weeks 1 to 14, and then weeks 15 through 17 are normally your fantasy playoffs, normally 3 weeks. And that's going to be a week to week matchup. And normally the last week of the NFL season, do not want to play because that last week, normally teams might be resting their starters if they've already clinched a playoff spot and they don't want to get their guys hurt. And you don't want to have that happen to your fantasy team. Your stud running back not playing on your championship game. You don't want that. So it normally ends the week before the season ends. But fantasy preparation can and honestly should be started well before the season starts. Me, myself, I'm always preparing. Even after the Super Bowl, when that ends, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do next year? What guys am I looking at? What rookies do I need to watch? How's the draft going to go? Free agency. So many things I'm thinking about. So be sure to prepare before the season begins so you can have the most chance of success. Who should play fantasy football? Really, anyone who wants to add some new nuances to the NFL season. Maybe you're not really getting bored of every week on Sunday morning or Monday night, but you think adding something cool would be really fun. And then what I like to call those nerds, that's me, who love to keep track of the stats, you would be really good at fantasy football. People who are watching, all right, these receivers are normally the best every year. I think this person's have the most yards. This person's have the most touchdowns. This quarterback is going to be the best this year. If you're one of those individuals, You need to play. You're going to have a lot of success at fantasy. And also people who want to bond with some family or friends in a fun competition. You might have family that's across the country, or some of your friends might have moved off and moved away after high school or college, and you want to just keep track and start something up with them. They might be football fans, and you can ask them, hey, you want to play fantasy football? Let me tell you what it's about. That could be a really fun way to kind of get that relationship started again and get it going. And really, everyone who is a football fan, in my opinion, you should play. Just try it. That's what I did over 10 years ago. I just decided to try it, and I have not looked back since. Where to play fantasy football? At work. That's where I started. I started in a retail store that I worked at. Some of the coworkers I had, we would talk football sometimes, and I just thought, you know what? I've heard about fantasy football. Maybe I should see if they're interested. So I asked them, we started, and we've been playing since that time. That's where I started. That's where you could start as well. Or at home with family and friends, maybe you live with, or like I said in the previous slide, maybe the ones that have moved away live in a different state or even a different country. It's a great place to start with people you know, so you might be more comfortable with. Or at church with your church family. You might be in a youth group or you might be on the pastoral team. Ask some of those individuals, ask some of your church family if they'd be interested. Or if you're in school still, if you're in high school or college, this is a great way to compete with some of your friends that you might think, hey, they're football fans. Let's see if they're interested. It's a great way to start. Or online with people you don't know. If you don't have a lot of people in your life or in your circle that are real football fans, and if they're all turning you down on interest in this, then you can join an online league with random people around the world and have fun that way. It's a great place to start as well. And really, anywhere you're at in life, you really should play. If you have interest, don't let any fear stop you from playing. Just start, have some fun, get yourself out there. What to do next? What now? Start playing. Get out there and join a league. Have the courage to give it a try. You won't regret it. But, this is a big but, there is so much more to learn. What I went over in this video is just the basics. How to play, who should play, where to play, the who, what, when, where, why. Those statements, it's just the basic understanding. There's so much more to learn. I have created a course that will teach you everything you need to know. Learning all of this on your own can be very difficult and take some time, a lot of time. Normally, it took me about 2 to 3 years to really understand, honestly, the basics of the game before I can get into learn the more advanced strategies and advanced information to where I got really good. I'm here to help. Everything I've learned in the past 10 plus years of playing, I have included in this course, and I'm constantly learning more and more information. Every year seems to be different, and everything I've learned, it is in this course I've made. I want to help you to avoid the mistakes I made myself and give you the best chance of success. I like to think of it this way. When you start a new job, when you get a new job you're excited for, you don't expect to know how to do that job well right when you get started. You have to be trained. You have to learn. You have to be coached. And you put yourself out there. You ask the right questions, get the right people around that are going to teach you correctly and well. And you start learning that way. You don't try to teach yourself and do your best to learn over time while you're doing the job. You want to do the job the best you can. So you're going to reach out and get that help. You don't try to do it yourself. And I also wanted to give you a story of what I did myself. What I did is I had an interest in making an online course on how to teach people about this, but I didn't know how to do that. So what I did is I reached out, I got a coach, I bought some training, I spent some money on learning how to do this, using the right programs, editing videos. I had no idea how to do that before, what to include, how to present it, how to market it, all of those things. I had no idea how to do that, but I paid and I got myself the right training and the right coach so I can learn this as quickly as I can. Could I have learned that over time on my own? Possibly, but it would have taken a lot of time. And I want to compare that to fantasy football. This could take you a lot of time to teach yourself. And I want to help you get started, get that jump start to move forward as quickly as you can, to have as much fun and success as you can. And I like to end on what does the Bible say? I'm a Bible believing Christian, so I always want to turn to the Bible and see what it says about certain topics. What does Proverbs chapter 18 verses 15 tell us? An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So I want you guys to go play, go try fantasy football, have some fun. But go seek after some knowledge, whether that's with my course. I would love to teach you all that I know, or if that's somewhere else, some other videos, some other research, some other articles. There's a lot of information out there. You can find it. It might take some time, but seek after that knowledge. Don't try to learn this yourself. It will take a lot of time. It took me 3, 4, 5 years to really understand what I was doing. And I want you guys to avoid that. So, whatever you do, this is your call to action. Go play, but seek after some knowledge. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys have fun playing fantasy football. I'll see you next time. God bless everyone, and try your best to win yourself a championship this year.